And welcome to this edition of the Native News Update on this Wednesday, April 10th. I am the host for today's program, and we invite you to go to our website and look at our stories there at IndianCountryNews.com. And here are some of the news stories for the day. Shoni Schimmel hugged her teammates almost as if she was celebrating when the clock hit zero, and Louisville had fallen hard to Connecticut in the women's NCAA championship game Tuesday night, April 9th. Perhaps she was practicing for next spring when Louisville is bound to be back in position to make another run at the big tournament. UConn's 93-60 win was the biggest blowout in a women's NCAA title game, yet the Cardinals said they would not let it overshadow the memorable string of upsets that got them as far as they went, along with the two sisters that have captivated the attention of Indian country. Louisville's run captivated fans in no small part because of moments of creative brilliance by sisters Shoni and Jude Schimmel that evoked res ball, the freewheeling style of play that they developed growing up on a reservation in Oregon. Against UConn, however, their moves of flashy passes and shots produced about as many misses and turnovers as points. The familiarity of playing a team from the same conference probably hurt more than it helped, Shoni Schimmel had said. Playing in the Big East, you kind of know each other. They knew what to do to stop us, and that was kind of limit my touches and not really let me shoot. The Huskies prevented Louisville from joining UConn from 2004 as the only school to win national titles in both men's and women's basketball in the same season. Louisville looked ready to give UConn a tough game during the opening 8 minutes, but the Huskies took control with a 19-0 first half run and never looked back. Shoni Schimmel missed her first 6 shots, and Jude Schimmel's third foul came with 9:21 still to go in the first half. Louisville will have many of their players back next year. Shoni Schimmel is a junior, and Jude Schimmel is just a sophomore. Wisconsin tribes asserted their presence at the state capitol in Madison April 9th and challenged Governor Scott Walker and his administration on a number of issues. The occasion was the State of the Tribes address to a joint session of the legislature, of which many Republicans skipped. The annual speech given by a leader of one of Wisconsin's 11 sovereign tribal nations has typically been delivered by a younger leader in recent times, but this year, Chairman Gordon Thayer, who also served as Lakota tribal chair in the 1980s during the height of racist anti-treaty protests, was selected to address the Republican-dominated legislature. He went out of his way to stress collaboration with state government and exemplified local efforts to create jobs, train workers, and many local governmental entities that work together on issues facing the North, but he held firm on the issues of fishing rights and mining. Acknowledging legislative leaders and constitutional officers there in attendance, Thayer introduced 13 tribal leaders who had traveled to Madison to stand in support of his talk. He then acknowledged the intertribal drum and singers representing each of Wisconsin tribes and who sang several honor songs in the Capitol that day. Thayer denounced the news headlines propaganda of the Wisconsin DNR for criticizing tribes for actually harvesting 100% of their 6% lake population. They have a right to harvest under DNR regulations and quotas. Many sportsmen critical of the declaration appear to believe the harvest is nearly 100% of the lake population because of erroneous headlines and stories. Thayer also pointed out that Wisconsin historically put the pristine nature of the state and people over the profits of a corporation, saying that water is life. He invited concerned citizens to join the Ojibwe Nation with their families this summer in visiting the Pinocchio Range. At one point, Speaker Pro Tem Bill Kramer, a Republican from Waukesha, got out of his seat, mouthed the words, "This is bullshit," and walked out. Kramer was later reported to have said that Thayer was talking out of both sides of his mouth. Kramer has told other members of the legislature he is an enrolled member of the Red Cliff Ojibwe tribe and admitted to colleagues that he has carried a loaded, concealed weapon into the assembly strapped to his ankle for protection in the past. It was not known if he had his pistol strapped to his ankle during Thayer's presentation, but here's what Thayer said, including that portion where Kramer gets up and walks out.
Let's look at some of these issues. I was involved back in the 80s. I was the chairman of the tribe then over the treaty rights, the spearfishing. And I've read some inflammatory press clippings recently about our spring spearfishing declaration. It brought me back, actually, to the 80s, when tensions ran high from slanted comments in the press. I was chairman of Louisville, as I said, and back then, it brought me back. It's almost like flashbacks. I had numerous calls threatening me, making vulgar, derogatory remarks, the racial words that came out. I won't even repeat them here to show the hatred over that issue, the racist overtones. The Wisconsin DNR leadership must recognize it's not the 80s. Spearfishing and treaty-protected rights have ensured a safe harvest to all to enjoy. I say all to enjoy. It's a sad commentary when political propaganda appears in the press. Who wants to come to visit Wisconsin when slanted press releases are designed to raise tensions and provoke concern among sportsmen about our very own resources? It's time for this propaganda to stop, and true leadership through communication must begin. That's what leadership is. Make no mistake, the 11 tribes of Wisconsin opposed the proposed mine in its permitting process. And we stand unified. I say unified with our relatives at Bad River Reservation in protecting the waters. Mike, we stand behind you and your people. How many had a drink of water today? You guys didn't over on this side? Well, that's what this little blue pin they pinned it on us this morning, but water sustains us. You know, water gives us life, and I feel we have to recognize that our state is endowed with a lot of beautiful water. I heard somebody say last night that you can't even eat the fish out of some of the lakes around here, and so that's a sad time. It purifies. It's a gift from the Creator. He's given it to us all. The beauty of our state isn't just about job production and about interstate highways. We all need them. Paved roads, electrical lines, all of which we become dependent upon to survive. Rather, our state is known across America for its pristine beauty, from the bluffs of Prairie du Chien to the rock formations in the Wisconsin Dells, the traditional homeland of the Ho-Chunk. The 136-mile-long Peshtigo River that's formed in Forest County, to the beautiful Wolf River near the Menominee Nation, and the wild rice beds that populated the northern Wisconsin, providing food and medicine for our Ojibwe people. Nibiwasibin in our language means many rivers. That's how we navigated these rivers back before aluminum canoes. But, you know, again, my point is that we have I'm hoping that we're all grabbing what I'm saying is this pristine value. We all share that. We all share that in common. We want that. We all want jobs as well. If you've never been to the Bad River area, never traveled to the Pinocchio Mountain Range, where the proposed mine is targeted, I encourage you to take your family there for a camping trip this summer and take in the beauty that our creators provide us. It's an awesome advantage. You know, speaking of wild rice, you know, I've done that for years. I harvested wild rice. One of my lakes that I would go to was over in Burnett County by Siren. It was actually over in the St. Croix area there. It was Clam Lake. But you know, there hasn't been rice on there for going on 9 years now. 9 years. I mean, we'd go over there and there's nothing there. I don't know the reason, but we could get hundreds of pounds of wild rice out of that lake, but it's not there. Something's happening in our environment that's affecting just that crop alone. For several years, we've not had a big rice crop in this. This substance of wild rice is indigenous to our people, and many of you here have had it at Thanksgiving, our special times. And it's hard when you don't have that anymore and you can't process that. That's in the heart of our community and our spirit. We cannot cash in our natural resources for corporate profit. A common theme in some of this is the breakdown of communication, a disregard to seek advice from all our affected parties. So I ask this distinguished body to consider this offer. When it comes time to make a difficult decision on resources and policies that impact us both, that we agree to meet. Agree to meet. Sometimes we never agree, but we should never let outsiders make our laws for us.
And that is another roundup of news from Indian Country. On this edition of the Native News Update, we want to say thanks for joining with us and come back again soon.